Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Matt from Vetter Software. Uh, just hopefully everyone can hear me, so I'm going to send you a chat message. It says Min Tran. I'm Matt Zahner. Filling in for Min today. Let me send everybody a quick chat. I'd like to see if you guys can hear me. I always want to ascertain that. If you can, please chime in and let me know. Excellent. Great. I see Paz is here, and it looks like Dr. Walsh. Great to have you guys here. It's 11 o'clock right now, and I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes to see if anyone else chimes in. So I appreciate your patience. I'm going to mute myself right now and wait for a couple of minutes. Okay? Thank you. Okay, hi, this is Matt. I'm back. I'm hoping people can now hear me. Um, gosh, I technology, right? I'm hoping people can hear me. Let me check in. Uh, yes, great. Okay, wonderful. Sounds like everyone can hear me. I apologize. Um, gosh, okay. Oh, no, that was awkward. Let me just check the last little chat here. Okay, great. Thank you, and I apologize for this. So let me do a quick recap of what I did. Uh, so I was mentioning earlier that, right, the software comes preloaded with over 50,000 items based on the master catalog of MWI and Patterson. So you can pick and choose, right, Rimadyl in every shape, way, size, or form, generic, name brand, etc. And then you pick and choose what you want. So I picked this one, for example, and I mentioned the display name. This is what goes on the invoice. You probably want to take away the 180 count type thing. Category, its vendor's going to get it 95% right all the time. It's going to know what it is. And I'll show you how to set up categories in a moment. Controlled substance, vendor will know this. Print on invoice, yes or no. Now,
or do you have headphones?
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. So I'm going to mute some people here. Getting background. Okay. Sorry about that. I was getting background noise. Now, to review quickly, a print on invoice, why would you not print it on an invoice? For example, it could be an item like a catheter or plastic gloves or syringes, something that's a sunk cost that's part of you doing business. You're not going to charge a client for it, but you want to track it in inventory. Another common use when you print on, to not print on invoice is, let's say it's a euthanasia procedure, and you have a bundle. You bundled the procedure together with Euthisol, Barbasol, right, Telazol, Butorphanol, etc. Right, and you just don't want to show how many mLs of Euthisol were used to put down Fluffy, but you're still going to track it in inventory. Next due indicates reminders. Now I know there's not a next due with Rimadyl, but I'm just using it as an example. That you can use, this triggers when reminders will go out. And of course, you can set up multiple reminders using our actions. Base price, to review, this is, you can either put a fixed cost down, simple service like an exam. That's when you use a fixed cost. But if you're buying items from the major distributors, Shine, Patterson, MWI, right, Midwest Vet, Nefsco, anybody, they're going to raise prices on you over time. This, I always recommend using dollar cost averaging, because then Vetter will adjust the price accordingly, right, regardless of what the price changes are to you from the manufacturer, okay? Minimum price, this is, let's say, something cheap like cephalexin or amoxicillin. I put down $1 per pill or tablet. I can also add fees, and I'll show you how to do those in a moment. And the fee will then go on top of things. Now, the fee can either be printed on the invoice, yes or no, and I'll show you how that works, and you have that option, yes or no. Base quantity. Do you want this measured by the tablet, right? Or the capsule? Maybe it's a day, it's an hour, it's a minute, it's an ml. You get the idea. This is most commonly used because some clinics will sell items by the bottle, and then they'll have a separate inventory item where they sell it by the capsule or the tablet. Route and location of administration. Generally not going to be used by smaller practices or by solo practitioners. This is mostly used by larger hospitals where the vet tech might be looking at instructions from the vet looking at the patient record, and then under the notes it says, oh, the doctor would like this to be administered subcutaneously in the right format. And then finally, instructions. This is what goes on the prescription label. When it's printed, this is really the default here. And starting balance, you can either you can do your inventory one of two ways. You can count what's on hand, add this here to Vetter, and under adjustments, you can make a note there, and I'll show you that. Or what you can do is you could put in any of the invoices, purchase orders of items that you've already bought, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, this is just an overview of how to create an item, and I'm going to pause very quickly and see if there's any questions. No? Okay, we're doing fine. Now, if I'm going to pull an existing item from my inventory, let me just pull one up, and let's say it's here, cephalexin. And when I search up here, this is what's in my inventory, okay? And for example, if you notice the current balance, 2412, and I'm doing a starting balance, I could just do this. I could make an adjustment and say, oh, I'm starting with 100 capsules, right? Or when I'm making another count, maybe I'm starting brand new from Vetter and I find, well, I only have 2,300 capsules on hand because I had to discard the others, or was a monthly adjustment, or maybe it's my starting balance, whatever I'd like to put down. And just by doing this, right, if you notice here, I've now suddenly made the correct adjustment and I have a current balance, and it will always be tracked here, as you can see. Okay, and it shows, for example, we have made 175 total adjustments, and this is a way to which you can always begin with. Okay, it's a very easy way to control items. Now, I'm going to jump out of this, and I'm going to create a brand new item for you, a service item, just to show you different ways. I showed you one with medicine. Again, let's use another example with a prescription. Let's say I grab, ketamine here, right? And if you notice, Vetter's it starts to fill these items in, okay? And, important things, hey, this is a controlled substance, and I want to say yes to this. And Vetter fills these items in here, right? Boom, boom, boom. We make and if I'm done, I just hit save and done, right? And then I have my first item. Now I can always go back and edit items, right? And I can go ahead and do whatever I like. Let me show you very quickly, though, in terms of how we were adding adjustments and adding purchases. I could start like this and say, starting balances, maybe I have 100 on hand, okay? And I call it starting balance. So now I have 100 on hand, okay? Boom, boom, boom. I could have also, if I wanted to, for example, I could delete this, and I could also just say, hey, the balance can also be created with a purchase order. So, sorry, I made a little hiccup there. I could go, let's say I already have bought items, okay? And I go and I pull my first purchase order out. Like, hey, I just bought some of these. Let's say my supplier is MWI. And I've entered my suppliers as contacts. And I could put in here, the manufacturer if I like. Let's say it's Pfizer. I could put lot numbers in, which are very important to use because Vetter will track lot numbers, right, for you. I do this. I could put an expiration date in. And let's say my original quantity was 100 mLs, okay? And whatever my cost is, I'm just making this up right now. Let's say it's $49.95. I could put shipping and tax in, and now notice what happens. Boom, now I have a purchase history right here, and current balance is 100. And notice it said quantity, right, 1 unit. They're like, hey, I administer this in mLs. No problem, we can always go back and edit these things, okay? And where's my milliliters? Right there. Boom. Right, and so now we've gone ahead and we have edited, we have it in mLs. I can look at my purchase history right here, and notice it's edited here too, 100 mLs. And this is an easy way to always go ahead and add, right? Just take your old invoice, boom, go ahead, add it in, and look, you're good to go. Now, Vetter will also, anytime I make a sale, Vetter will record the sale history of these items. Okay. I also have the option of making price tiers. I mean, not that you probably don't want to sell ketamine en masse to people, but if I wanted to, let's say for other items, I could say, well, hey, if you buy 10 mLs, right, there might be a 10% discount, right? And then Vetter is going to adjust that accordingly on the invoice, okay, price tiering. If I ever make returns on items, it will be recorded here. If any taxes would be applied to the item that I've set up in settings, it would be recorded here. The sales history will be recorded, and I'll show you that in a moment. Plus, we also have the ability, when you create items, take a look at the actions. What are my options? Oh, in fact, let me do one thing. Let me set a reminder right here, just so we have something to work with. This will trigger the ability to create further reminders. I know you're not going to remind someone for ketamine, but take a look at what we can do with actions. So I recommend doing this with every new item when you set things up. First of all, create alerts. I'd like to know when, there's 20 days before expiration date. And I'd like to know, let's say, if I'm down to another alert, I can do expiration date and low balance, right? I'd like to know if there's, say 10 mLs remaining. So now notice I have expiration and low balance. Now, if this were for example, it may be a euthanasia procedure, I could change patient status. That will automatically decease the patient in the software. If it's a spay and neuter, it will automatically desex the patient in the software. I could also disable, let's say this was a vaccine, I could disable other reminders that I don't want sent out. I could also, if this were also, let's say, a vaccination, I could trigger it to automatically print a certificate. So if I put a rabies vaccine in here, and as a print certificate, the moment I add that to the patient record, the printer in your office will print the certificate. Now, you may or may not want that, because you have print jobs all day long, but that option exists. I can also create follow-up reminders. And in my settings, I have reminders set as a 1 week prior default. Okay. Now, I could also say, I really want my patients to get a text maybe 3 days prior, right? And I can create, notice, multiple reminders. So we'll send that 1 week prior out, that's a default, but I can create as many follow-up reminders as I like. And that's a very powerful tool. Do this in the beginning and do it correctly. You've automated much of inventory and you've automated your reminders. And one other action here is the ability, let's say, I want to create a task. Maybe I would like, for example, it's a surgical procedure, and I'd like a follow-up phone call. And I'd like then my staff to do that, let's say, 2 days later. Now, I'm going to show you a couple examples that I already have in the software of this at play. Before I do so, let me pause and see if there's any questions. Okay, doing fine so far. Oops, just saw a question pop up. I've noticed that Vetter doesn't pull from the balance under purchases from lab diagnostics. Is there a way to change that for tests that are in-house, like a SNAP heartworm test? So 2 things to that. Good question, Paz. One is that's an inventory enhancement we're going to have in the new year, that it will pull from balances. So because, we don't quite know exactly, when you would set it up initially, we don't always know, hey, how many, Abaxis rotors do you have on hand, for example. Now, this is something we're going to do in the future. Right now, is there a way to change that for tests in-house? You would have to, unfortunately, do a manual adjustment. So this is where I would come in and use the adjustment piece right here and do a manual adjustment, right? So if I'm doing the heartworm test, my balance is 100, and maybe at the end of the week, you've done 50 of these, you can make an adjustment here. You have to do a manual adjustment for that right now with the in-house labs. Now, speaking of labs, I want to show you guys something else with that. When you set up inventory and you create a new item, let's say Abaxis Labs, right? It's going to show all of these here. Now, it's very important with labs, you do not edit these, right? I want an Abaxis, comprehensive diagnostic profile. This language, the fact there's even one space here or two space, the colon, this triggers our integration. So please don't change this. Now you can change it on the display name, but not the name up here. The same for, let's say, Antech, right? Now Antech has a ton, right? Do not change these. Now Antech comes, right? Do not change this. You can change it here on the display name, but leave it as it is there. Now, it just becomes very important, right? Boom. Now, some of the Antech tests will have a price here. This is Antech's price to you, okay? It's just the way the integration works with Antech. You can always go ahead and change those after the fact. In other words, you can adjust the price to what you are going to charge. The same with, right, Heska, right? We have the Heska labs that are down here, okay? Don't change those. And we have, of course, right, we're going to have the IDEX labs too. Now, even though IDEX, because they're evil, will not integrate with us, I have no other words for that besides they're evil, but we still obviously have all the IDEX labs. So if you're an IDEX user and you manually attach the lab results to the records, you can pull these up too. Now, these you can doctor as much as you like, simply because we don't have an active integration with them. Okay, let me pause very quickly and see if there's any questions. Okay, doing fine. Now, let's create a couple other items. Let's say, for example, it's a fee, right? Whatever, a visit fee. I'm just making something up. Now, notice Venner doesn't know what category this is. Right? It doesn't know. It's a new name. So you come up to here and you choose fees. Notice what happens. Everything else grays out. And you simply put whatever the fee is. $10. Do I want it printed on invoice? Yes or no. Entirely up to you. If I look at an existing fee I have, for example, like my dispensing fee, boom, there it is. And I'm almost always going to say no to printing on invoice, right? It's up to you, but you get an idea of how this works. Now, creating a discount is just as easy. New item. Discount, right? Here, let's just say, call it a family discount. And as soon as I do this, and I choose the discount category, right? It all grays out, and I have an option to choose a dollar value or a percent. Simple as that. Okay. Now, the final item I'm going to show you is a service item. Now, we have a bunch of exams that are preloaded into here, right? Let's say it's a physical. And Venner's going to know that this is a services item, right? Outpatient services. It knows this. But let's just say I want to call it, Dr. Joe's puppy exam, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, okay, it's procedure, it's a service, whatever I want it to be, okay? And now this is where I create a fixed price. I say it's $100. Boom. And just like that, right, I've created my own exam fee. Okay? Pretty straightforward. So, let me look at a couple, for example, items we might have here. So here's a puppy exam I've gone ahead and made. And it's going to show you, my sales history here. Now, obviously, there's not a purchase history, right? Under exams here, you notice there's a negative amount. I'd have 5 sales. We're not tracking that. But if it were a more, more widely used item, like a prescription, let's take a look at my Clavamox drops here, right? I'm going to show a vast sales history. And it might take a moment to load, but it's going to show you the entire history. If there were ever returns, you're probably not going to have a return for Clavamox, but let me show you something else. Let's say I have some Hill's food items here, this 13-ounce can, for example. If I ever had returns on this, it would show this here. It's going to list the returns very thoroughly. If there were taxes, since this is a food item, there might be taxes. Now in my demo account, I have a ton of taxes, but it would show whatever tax is applicable to the category. All right? Now, one other cool, when I was showing you the tasks, and I was showing you, let's say that task came up, that action to make a task. Let me show you how this would be used. Let's take a spay procedure that I have in my inventory right here. I have a spay procedure. Now, everything seems normal here, one procedure, $150. Let's take a look at the actions. Okay, one is it sets the patient automatically to be desexed. Okay, so that does it for you automatically. The second one is call client about patient health. I'm going to create this from the beginning for you. Any kind of surgical procedure, is a good practice, not just as from customer relations perspective, but also for the health of the animal. You probably want to have it do a callback. Well, how do you set that up in better? Let's say, create task. And I am going to say, I would like a, call about patient health. Boom. And I want that done 2 days after the procedure. And I can assign this to anyone on my staff. This is my little staff here. And it can also be assigned to just, let's say, a group inside the clinic. It could be, we have various roles, technicians and staff and administrators and veterinarians. And let's say I'm going to assign this to Matt and the front desk. So boom. Now, so watch what happens. Watch if I go to a sample patient. And I'm going to grab my sample patient here. I'm going to grab my little favorite guy, Gargamel, or Azrael, who's owned by Gargamel. And, for Gargamel, right now you are, your sex is male intact. Sorry, buddy. Don't worry, it's only a demo. I come to here, and I hit new record, and I hit medical record, and let's just say I put in the spay procedure. Boom. Now notice the actions pop up right here. And I hit next, and I hit save and done. Now, first of all, poor Azrael has been neutered. Sorry, buddy. And notice the task has got assigned. So I assign that task to myself. So if I'm a staff member, I look at my task and I say, oh, on November 10th, I need to call the client about patient health. So setting up inventory correctly in the beginning and automating a lot of these allows for very powerful effects downstream. Let me pause right now for questions. No, we're doing fine. Okay, we only have about another 5 minutes of this. A couple other tips I'd like to show you. Let me jump back to this. Is also an inventory, what we could do is when creating items, we can make them part of a bundle. So it's important to remember that an inventory, it's not just a physical item, it's anything you'd like it to be. So for example, I've made this item clinic follow-up visit, surgical follow-up visit, for example. And notice what I did here. I said, let's say, for example, you want the client, the patient and the client to come back 2 weeks after there was a surgery. And you're wondering, well, how do I apply this? Now, I could manually, go to, let's say, the patient right here, Azrael, and I could manually create a reminder. and say, hey, after surgery, I also want you to come in and here's the surgical follow-up visit. And notice it's already 2 weeks right there. It's automated. And in 1 week from now, they'll get an email asking to come in. But why not automate this entirely? Let's make it part of a bundle. Okay? So I'm just going to jump to settings here, and I'm going to go to a surgical temp bundle that I have. I'm going to look at my bundles here. And let's say here, surgical procedure. And I'm just guessing right now, maybe I have part of it, and sure enough, I added it to it. You'll see I do something smart occasionally. And I added this item. So it's very easy. Let's say you have existing bundles. I'm going to delete this right now. Let's say I have existing bundles. I can add it to it very easily. I just come and I say, new item, and I create this surgical follow-up visit. So let's say it's included in the whole price, so $0. So if I wanted to change it, I could edit it right here and change it. Now what happens is you're going to create a reminder for that visit, for them to come back in without you having to do a thing. So I create the item in inventory, surgical follow-up, very easy to do, and I just connect it to a bundle. So if I went back to Azrael here, and I went ahead and I did this, and the poor guy has all these reminders, sorry buddy, and let's say I added a bundle, new record, bundle, and I'm going to grab my surgical procedure here, okay, say I create a new invoice, and I hit next, but I just want you to see how this works then for the reminders. The $0 item, you could price it if you wanted to, right? And now what happens is, by the way, there's also a callback associated with this bundle too, and I'm just going to X out of this. Notice what happens. This surgical follow-up visit has automatically been added to the patient reminders, okay? And notice it's a 2-week process, and that means I don't need to manually create a reminder. So by using inventory to not just create an item, but to create anything you need, we literally, I kid you not, we have some doctors, they've actually put in inventory, hug your animal. And they add it to all their bundles. And then they might put down next due for that, let's say 3 weeks. And all of a sudden the client gets a reminder email from their doctor, hug your pet. Now, some people might find that corny, but I gotta tell you, having talked to these doctors, they get a very good response from their clientele by using inventory in a powerful way. For example, hug. This is one of our doctors. She's actually the Yukon vet doctor on Nat Geo. It's Dr. Oakley. She uses better. And so she put that in, hug. And 1 month. And so she adds those to bundles, and then when she sends out does a bundle, 1 month later, the clients get an email reminder to hug their animal. Inventory can be used for a variety of things. Okay, let me do a quick pause if there's any questions. Okay, then I just want to wrap up very quickly with the inventory screen. Okay, so first off, any alerts I've created will show up here. I'm lazy and we have a demo account, so we never quite do reordering and take care of this. So please don't use this as an example. We have our categories. These are very important. We start you off with 13 parent categories. These are based on AAHA's chart of accounts. But I can add as many subcategories, which is helpful for reporting. Let's just say under maybe other non-medical, right? Maybe I have, we already have grooming in there. Gosh, I don't know, spa care. That's becoming a new thing in pet care. And maybe I have spa care, right? So now I have a subcategory. Entirely up to you. We also have a quick edit here. So if I want to just have an overview of seeing everything, I can go ahead and, let's just say, hey, what are all my labs? At a glance, I can take a look at all of my labs right here. that I have in my inventory. Okay, not the entire Vetter inventory, but just my inventory. Right, and I can then go ahead and I can edit any one of these. It's a quick edit, right? Do I want to change the price, change the category, right? Change whether it's controlled or not. Get the idea there, dosage. And then finally, we have two areas here, orders and receipts. Now, if you order from MWI and Patterson, it makes sense to use this feature. So it allows you to automatically link into their ordering platform and order directly from there. So for example, if I want to place a new order and I'm doing it with MWI, and this is a demo, so it's going to say default to MWI, it's now going to kick me into the MWI ordering platform. Okay? And now I'm getting direct and real-time pricing and availability. I just hit add item. I don't know, let's say Bordadella. No, let's say, let's do a Parvo right here, what have you. Boom, boom, boom. Or this one right here, Muriel, and it's a box of 25, and I want 2, and it gives me the real-time pricing. And I can add as much of this as I want, right? A nice thing is it'll show me availability too. Now, this is a demo account, so I believe I know the results here. Yes. If it's on back order, because on purpose to show you, it'll tell me if it's on back order. So it allows me to adjust accordingly. And then all I need to do is hit submit order, and it automatically goes to MWI. It debits your account with them, and then Vetter tracks the order. Okay, so I submitted it. Now MWI has it. I come back out here, and I view my open orders. And, submitted orders. I just submitted this, and here's my MWI order, right? I went ahead and just submitted this, okay? Now, so a lot of people ask, when do I use this? Honestly, only use this if you have the MWI or Patterson integration. Otherwise, it's easier just to order from your existing supplier and then enter the invoice, right, after the fact, right? For example, like we went to here, let me pull up a Rimadyl right here. That's in my inventory. Unless you're using the ordering integration, it's just easier to grab an invoice, right? You got it. Fill this in here, hit save, and then it gets recorded in the purchase history right here. Okay? So again, I always like, people don't get confused. Use this if you have the integration. It makes sense because it's very quick, as you showed how I did it. Boom, 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 boom. And then when the order arrives, you simply post a new receipt. And it makes it very easy, right? So let's say I say MWI, boom, and it's nice. It will pull up all open orders. Oops. So it'll pull up like the open order from the day that we have. I can add this information. It's optional. And now I come out to here. Oh, and I open up the package. And did it arrive? Right. And so then I go in. What I would do is I simply, hey, look, it posts to, Canine Parvo. I need a Muriel account for this. But you see, I post to here, right? I can add it as a new item if I didn't have it already. I post, oh, everything is there. I hit save. And then once I save it, I just post the receipt and it automatically goes to inventory. So again, repeat. Great feature if we're using the inventory integrations. If you're ordering from somebody else with whom we don't have an integration, by the way, Shine won't build an integration with us. We'd like to, but they won't. Competitive reasons, use the manual process that I showed you. Okay, I'm doing a quick check here. This is how I would set up inventory effectively. And I hope that this was a kind of a good refresher and hopefully a good learning course for new clinics, but also a refresher for existing clinics of this is the best way to set things up. And even if you've made mistakes, right, you can still go back and check them. And I will say the most common mistake that people make is one last thing, is really how they set up categories. Okay? And realize if it's a non-medical item, right? Oops, let me go up to here. Category. Sorry, sometimes you have to refresh the page. I always call that ghost in the machine. And I come to here, if it's a non-medical item, this is important for people to know. Let's say it's a retail sponsor. This will not appear in the patient record, right? So sometimes, people, hey, I added a catheter. Well, how come that doesn't appear in the patient record? Or I added a leash, for example. And I'm sorry, if I added a leash or a toy or something, and people say, wow, it doesn't appear in the patient record. Well, we don't want to cloud up the patient record with non-medical supplies. So remember, if you choose non-medical, right, catheters, syringes, toys, what have you, it's not going to appear in the patient record. And this is I found when I untangle inventory for clinics, I have found the most common error comes from, right, misclassification of these items. Okay, some people just cavalierly choose other non-medical. Well, it's going to lead to it not appearing on the patient record. So categories are important. Repeating again, use actions, use inventory to do more than just track physical items. Use it to create things like follow-up visits, hugs, greetings, whatever you'd like to do. And also use it to create follow-up tasks. Do this in the beginning. Take the time. A lot of clinics are like, oh, I didn't have time to use the task, use the actions. Well, use actions. It automates it. It does. And we are constantly adding more and more actions. And so the idea is we'll automate as much of this as possible. Okay. I thank you for everyone's patience. Again, I apologize for the snafu in the beginning with the sound. And again, this is Matt Zahner with Vetter Software. Many of you know me. If you need follow-up help, you can email me at matt@vettersoftware.com or just give us a call. Thanks a lot, everyone, and I wish you all a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.